So I think that's enough. We played the game for 6 hours pretty much. Not really 6 hours. Actually 5 hours total. Played the game for 5 hours. I think it's a very fun game overall. I like it a lot. I think Guilty Gear Strive is actually a fun game. It has what it takes to be a good game. Definitely. And you know, when it comes to the complaints and all that stuff, I want to say already that I totally understand where people are coming from with this. Obviously, it's not fun when you have a game that you already like a lot and it's getting either changed completely or toned down, or I don't know what. Toned down is actually not that much of an issue, but when it's completely changed, that's an issue, I think. And Guilty Gear went through the transformation of being anime fighting game. Anime fighting games are very chaotic, really fast-paced, and there's a lot of you know, jumping, movement, a lot of air combat as well. In this game, there's not really air combat that much. A character like Soul, for example, does have things like dust loops, but you cannot do it eternally. You know, you don't have a whole lot of dust loops. You can do it like 2 times and that's it. Which is, it's kind of, it has a lot of style. It's very good, I think. But the fact that most characters cannot do air combat and all that stuff, maybe a lot of people won't be happy with that. In fact, this game has a lot of horizontal pushback, not vertical like the previous game. Because a lot of anime fighting games, they go in the air a lot. Meanwhile, in this game, you move forward as you're pushing back the opponent. So that's just my overall perspective on what the game is, and I like it a lot like that. That's something that I like. But like I said, I understand why people are not so happy. Still, I'm not gonna be like, oh man, just because people don't like it, I'm not gonna like it. This game is made for people like me. You know, it's not necessarily made to push away the people who play the older Guilty Gears, but it's also made to, you know, appeal to people who are like me, kind of, who play games, other fighting games like Tekken, like even Grand Blue or Soul Calibur, things like that. And honestly, I would say that the game is still, from what I've played for Guilty Gear, I've played like 2 months of Guilty Gear Xrd, honestly. And Guilty Gear Xrd, I would say, is a game that is, it's really hard to know where to start from. Like, it's a game where it's really difficult to know where to begin. You don't really know what moves like your character are doing. You don't know exactly the property of each move. You have a lot of weird stuff like stunt state, other things like that. It's kind of fucked up. That game has it has too much, I would say. Too much things. It makes it for a difficult experience to get into. Not necessarily bad game. It's not a bad game, definitely, I'm sure of that. Especially when you look at tournaments, but the game is really hard to get into, I would say. People say that we have games like Tekken that are really complex as well. But Tekken, I think the biggest challenge in Tekken is it's pretty much the knowledge of all the characters. There's like 50 characters in Tekken, and they all have a lot of moves. And on top of that, you have the execution barrier. I think the execution is the hardest thing to get past through in Tekken. But in Guilty Gear, you have execution because you have things like FD cancel and all this other shit, like the faultless defense stuff, and there's a lot of other things with the RC system as well. But on top of that, you also have a lot of mechanics to learn about. You also have a lot of very, very widely different characters. I was explaining that I feel like it's hard, like for people who play Xrd, it's difficult to jump from a character to another, I feel like. But yeah, and I was also saying things like people got mad who got mad at Strive. They were getting mad at first because there was no combos, there was no Okis. I feel like it really depends on the character that they want to see. Like, when people were talking about combos, they were like, oh man, there's no combos and shit like that. And then we saw the pro players play the game, especially Chip, Samito did a fantastic job with the combos and stuff. people calm down a little bit in terms of the combos. The people were really mad at Strive. They calm down a little bit when it comes to combos. They're still complaining about the Oki, that Oki is not that present in the game. And then they saw Milia, and then complaints went down a little bit again for Okizemi. Now the complaints are more leaning toward things like the UI and stuff like that, and the current problem of the high damage and wall break mechanic. Those are the main complaints right now. I think things go very fast in this game. I think overall, in terms of the pacing of the fights, if it wasn't for the very high damage, right? If it wasn't for the very high damage that the game has, I think things like the fact that your movement is limited in the air, there's less stuff you can do in the air because you cannot start combos from air attacks. You cannot just do air combat in this game. That's why people say that the game is slower. But is it drastically slower than Exert? It's completely false. The game is absolutely not slower than Exert by any means. It's only slower in the sense that you cannot air to air someone and it leads into a combo and then leads to Oki and shit like that. But the fights go extremely fast because of the high damage, because of the fact that you gain meter extremely fast. It's crazy. There's also a lot of pushback, like I said, horizontal pushback. So you're not gonna stay neutral for years in this game. Unless you're fighting a character like Potemkin, maybe. That's just my guess from my first impression. I haven't fought people yet. We don't know how online matches will go yet. We'll see tomorrow. So I'm just saying things of my just like that on the fly from my first impression with this game and how it feels. It feels really good. It's a game that feels good. The controls are very good. People were saying things like, man, the game's gonna be slow, blah blah blah. I was kind of scared, to be honest. People were complaining so much that eventually I was scared that the game would be somewhat clunky. And watching people play didn't help at all, because when you watch random players play the game and they don't really know what they're doing, or what leads into what, in terms of combos and stuff, the game can look clunky and slow, but it is not at all. Things go lightning fast. I think the game is still fine, but in terms of complaints, I do have serious complaints when it comes to things like UI, some gameplay stuff like the high damage. Some moves that deal way too much damage and they shouldn't, honestly. For example, the wide throw from how's it called? Soul's wide throw is crazy, man. It does too much damage. You kill someone in 3 wild throws. That's too much. Anyways, I think there's a lot of things in this game that can change still. I don't like the wall break mechanic. I don't think I like it at all. I think the thing that I don't like about the wall break is the fact that it can be caused by normals. I think wall break should be caused by special attacks specifically only. I don't think it should be caused at all by normals. It's not normal that you throw a punch or a kick and it breaks the wall. Yeah. Maybe slash and heavy slash, I don't know, maybe those can cause the wall break. But I think the lighter attacks like kick and punch should not. Honestly. Even dust, like crouch dust 2D, probably shouldn't cause a wall break in my opinion. So I think that's my biggest complaint when it comes to the wall break mechanic. When it comes to things like the UI, I've already given an example of what I wanted from the UI. I think I've tweeted about this. So look at this. There's I wanted to show this because I kind of have a vision when it comes to the UI of Guilty Gear Strive. I know they really want to go for a minimalistic style. People don't like it. I think it's fine. I think it's actually okay, as long as they give it some sort of substance, some sort of style to it, something that speaks a little bit more than just that. I like the clock a lot. I think the clock is cool. I think it looks awesome. But this whole section, I think I like it. Here we have the hearts in the current game right now. We have the hearts. I think that's super lame. But when it comes to the rest of it, when it's here, I think it's fine. I added chains. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool, and it fits kind of guilty, right? So I added chains. It looks like a pendant, kind of. And I replaced the hearts by things like this, and then you have a little light that indicates that someone won a round. Instead of losing a heart, I don't like the hearts at all. I don't like them. The moving portraits in the game right now, I don't think I really have a problem with them. I think it's just a matter of adjustment. I think people are gonna have a lot of trouble adjusting to it. I don't think they're kind of bad at first. I'm not gonna lie. The first time I saw that, it was hurting my eyes a lot. Eventually, I started watching a lot of Kids Try footage, and I got used to looking at the portraits moving, because you can just look at the health gauge and you see your burst, you see your wrist gauge as well, by just looking at the health gauge, which is enough. But obviously, if you play a lot of other fighting games and you look at the UI of Strive for the first time, it's gonna hurt a lot, and it's gonna take some time to adjust. But the intention isn't that bad after looking at it for a while. But it's not too bad, I would say. I'm okay with it. Other people, they're not gonna be okay with it. I think it really depends on the people. But still, I'm not paying attention too much to the UI, so that's why it's not too much of a big deal for me. In any game that I play on, I never pay too much attention to the UI. So yeah. But aside of that, do I have any other complaints? Like I said, some of the damage is incredibly high. It's ridiculous. Look at this. You can just... And a character like Chip can do a lot of things like that. And it's gonna do a lot of damage. Look at this. This is a combo actually. 5 hits does a lot of damage. And look at the tension. It's crazy. So just doing something like that gives you a fuck ton of tension, gives you a fuck ton of damage as well. It's crazy. But aside of that, I don't have many complaints. I think overall the systems of the game work properly, work well. Aside of that, you also have things like the menus, the current menus in the game, the way they are made. I'm not really a fan of it. I'm not a fan. I think I like the part where they give a little description. You see underneath Soul, they say overpowering all foes with savage power, with savage force, ruthless striker. That's pretty cool, right? I like it. I like this a lot. But I don't like the big red band up top there, which apparently is going to be the profile of the players. Like you have the currency, you have the level, you have the character that they're going to play. This is going to be like the setup for the profiles and stuff like that. I don't like that. It can look better than that. Come on, it can look way better than that. But I also don't. The specific thing here that I don't like at all is the grid where you have the characters. It's awful. I hate that. It's just like, I don't even know what this is. This is pretty bad. I don't like this at all. I don't like this. They can do better than that. They can definitely do better than that. I like the fact that we have sections, we have classes of characters. That's very good. You have things that indicate if the character is easy to play or not. You have the range of the character, where they excel the most. For example, you have Chip here. He doesn't have long range at all. He's better at mid range and close range. Soul is very weak in terms of long range. Kai is pretty strong in there. Axel is very strong in terms of long range. Close range is trash. So you see things like that. Foss is very strong at mid range because he can do item toss and stuff. Pretty good. So things like that are really, really good. Balance, speed, power, tricky. I love it. You have the time, the character select. Pretty good stuff. But the grid itself, it's fucking awful. I hate it. I think they can do better than that. Right? But then again, things are, you know, they can change. They've already proved to people that they are listening and that they can change stuff. People don't have to be super rude and say that, oh man, Guilty Gear's dying and shit like that. They don't need to hear that. What they need to hear is your main complaint, what you think should change and maybe how. You know, give opinions, stuff like that, instead of being a bitch and being like, oh man, the game's dying, it's like Street Fighter now, it has no charm. Shut up. I think this game is pretty cool. I love it. I actually like this game a lot. So I'm gonna be playing this a lot for the next few days, trying to figure out stuff. Since we don't have a training mode, it's gonna take a while compared to having like a regular training mode where you can like test things, counter hit state and stuff like that. But yeah, gonna be taking a moment. So yeah, I enjoy the game a lot. I think it's pretty good, and I'm sure that, you know, it's gonna be like a slow burn. People are gonna be complaining a lot. It's gonna be a lot of complaints. People are not gonna be happy about stuff. But that's why they also give the survey for the feedback. That's why they do it. Anyways, I think I'm gonna end the stream for now. It's been a lot of fun. So, and it's been 6 hours. God damn it! I need to go drink, use the bathroom, and eat something as well. I'm really hungry. So yeah, see ya.